Power asserts lawful authority. Authority challenges unlawful seizure. The order holds. The fleet advances. Blockade. In theaters now.
What just happened in the Caribbean is not a drill, and it's not a bluff, and it's not a policy disagreement. President Donald Trump has deployed a naval armada and imposed a total blockade on all sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers in and out. The Maduro regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. You see, for decades, they stole American assets, funded drug cartels, and trafficked humans across the hemisphere. Well, tonight, they are surrounded, and the globalists are losing their minds. This is full-spectrum economic warfare, and America just fired the first shot. Now, here's what's at stake. Venezuela nationalized American-built oil infrastructure, seized billions in corporate assets, and stiffed U.S. companies on arbitration rulings for 20 years. They had laundered that stolen wealth through drug trafficking and human smuggling operations that have flooded our southern border with chaos. Prior administrations did nothing. They issued statements. They expressed concern. They let a narco state operate with impunity 90 miles from our coastline. That era is over, and Trump has now drawn a line in the sand, and the message is unmistakable. Steal from America, and you will pay. This matters to every American because it's not just about Venezuela. It's about whether the United States will defend its interests or continue to be looted by hostile regimes who learned they could take what they wanted without consequence. The blockade is the answer. The world is watching. And some breaking news on the preparedness front. With global instability rising and a naval blockade now active in the Caribbean, there's never been a better time to get your house in order. This Christmas, give the gift of food security with an amazing deal for my friends at My Patriot Supply. It's called the Buy One Gift Two Christmas Special. All month long, when you buy one emergency food kit, you'll get 2 more absolutely free. Perfect for giving as gifts. Grab a 4-week emergency food supply for yourself, and they'll include two 1-week kits totally free. These days, it makes sense to have emergency food stored away. And with this deal, you're preparing yourself and giving meaningful gifts to family. So head to preparewithgary.com right now. This offer is only available for the holiday season at preparewithgary.com. Now, here's the twist that has Democrats choking on their own hypocrisy. The very law that's authorizing Trump to interdict narco terror vessels on the high seas was actually written by Chuck Schumer himself. The Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act of 1986, Schumer authored it. He wrote the statute that makes it legal to blow drug boats out of the water. So when the left screams about Trump overreach, remind them their own Senate leader built the legal framework decades ago. Meanwhile, Venezuela is invoking the United Nations, claiming self-defense under Article 51, treating the blockade as an act of aggression. But here is the reality. Trump didn't threaten Caracas. He locked the exits. Stolen oil has nowhere to go, and the regime is panicking. Trump just dropped a total blockade on all sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers. Here is news from Fox.
And complete just breaking right now across the wires. President Trump is ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela, saying that the armada around Venezuela will only get bigger, and that the Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization, crossing on all the wires coming from the Trump administration and the president himself. A blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers into Venezuela. As we look at some of those drug boat takeouts, that's a significant move around the country of Venezuela.
Yeah, I mean, Brett, it's incredibly disturbing. I think this is why you're seeing members of Congress on both sides of the aisle coming forward and saying, you know, we need to understand a little bit more about what the posture is and what the reasoning and rationale is.
Just breaking right now.
Let's keep going here. Tensions rise as Venezuela's president orders his Navy to escort oil ships after President Trump's partial blockade. So this is from Good Morning America 11 hours ago. So think about what could happen here. Venezuela's Navy now going to be escorting the ships, the tankers. That's going to create a head-to-head confrontation. And who knows what will happen next. But I can tell you one thing. Our missiles are bigger than theirs.
Deck oil. Good morning, Michael. Overnight, there was another deadly strike on a suspected drug boat, killing 4. This one in the eastern Pacific, closer to Colombia. This brings to 99 the number killed in these boat strikes, with no evidence made public that these boats are carrying drugs. This comes as President Trump is now calling for a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers, and there are dozens. It was just a little over a week ago we saw that dramatic seizure of an oil tanker off Venezuela's coast with an elite Coast Guard team rappelling onto the ship's deck. Oil exports are the lifeblood of Nicolas Maduro's government, and President Trump has made no secret he wants him out of power. But with this military buildup, the attack on drug boats, and now this threat of more seizures, the risk of a dangerous confrontation in the standoff is increasing, Michael.
Yeah, it seems like it's really escalating, Martha. Martha, there's new controversies around the nomination for the leader of the Coast Guard.
Exactly, Michael. Admiral Kevin Lunday had been
Let's keep going here. This is 10 hours ago. President Trump talking about the blockade on the tarmac.
Just a blockade. Not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it. Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
We want it back. Exploring the risks and escalations from Trump's naval blockade on Venezuelan oil. This clip is from a full episode of Deprogram with Ted Rall and John Curacao. Let's see this. Let's listen to their take.
Or able.
How close? How close are we to real conflict?
With Venezuela. We really should start with Venezuela. This is far more serious than I think most people recognize. It's an act of war, a naval blockade. It legally allows the Venezuelans to respond were they so inclined
or able.
Or able. I don't think they have a navy. Is that what it is? There's no navy and there's no navy. There's no air force to speak of. They do have an army.
Yeah.
But it's mostly on the border with Colombia. So they're not really going to be...
They kind of have a Fedayeen type situation.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they do. But remember, this country is the size of France, Germany, and Austria combined, and it's heavily jungle.
That's worth remembering because because it looks smaller on the Mercator projection.
Yes,
but
it does.
It's big.
It's big. It's big. And so, I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park like apparently the White House does. I think this is very, very dangerous. Well, let me add one thing. I don't understand the point of it. Venezuela, we can say, Venezuela, drugs, Venezuela, terrorism. Just because you say it doesn't make it so. Venezuela is not a threat to us. Venezuela is not a major drug, middle point
no.
The United States. MC23 June is correct that Venezuela is backed by China. So what are we doing here? Have we engaged the Chinese on this? Normally that's what we would do were we to go to war with a country. I just don't see what the point is. We really should start with Venezuela. This is far more serious than I think most people.
No, I agree. When you have a naval blockade in play, serious things could happen. Venezuela hits back, apparently, has exercised its lawful right to self-defense in response to the announced oil naval blockade. Caracas has taken action under Article 51 of the UN Charter, treating the move as an aggression defined by UN resolution. Trump announces naval armada, an oil blockade to target oil fields in Venezuela and shadow tanker fleet. 20 years, Venezuela nationalized American-built oil projects, stiffed U.S. companies on billions, tried to bully its way into offshore fields. Trump's armada embargo finally makes a socialist regime pay the price for expropriating U.S. assets and laundering that oil money into repression and chaos. This will send a warning to the EU, which has spent years draining American companies through weaponized regulations, billion-euro civil penalties, and shadow tariffs dressed up as climate or digital privacy policy. Let's keep going a little deeper here. Here's President Trump.
Going through just a blockade. Not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it.
Illegally took it. Let's talk about the Chuck Schumer angle here. The irony is insane.
New York. His name, this in front of me, this is the Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act of 1986, authored by a member of Congress in 1986 from the state of New York. His name, Chuck Schumer. He wrote the law that passed almost unanimously that makes it legal to blow drug boats out of the water. It happened in the 80s a lot, in the 90s a lot. Go ahead, look it up, folks. Chuck Schumer, the author of this bill that made what we're doing with Venezuelan drug boats fully legal. We don't need permission from the rest of the world. Chuck Schumer gave us that in 1986. This in front of me, this is the Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act of 1986, authored by a member of Congress in 1986 from the state of New York. His name, Chuck Schumer.
Oh, yes, that's the funny joke right there. It has been confirmed that Chuck Schumer wrote the law letting President Trump strike narco terrorists. The Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act, authored by Chuck Schumer. Oh, yeah, you can't make this stuff up, folks. But we're going to keep monitoring this. We're going to keep tracking it because this really could blow up into something much bigger, especially if Maduro's Navy decides to start shadowing their own tankers. But, of course, then came the quote that detonated the globalist narrative. Trump said it plainly. They took our oil rights. They threw our companies out, and we want it back. The corporate press, of course, recoiling in horror, not because it was false, but because it shattered the polite fiction that expropriation is acceptable when wrapped in socialist slogans. For 20 years, Venezuela dared America to respond. That dare has now been answered. The Armada is in position, the tankers are stopped, and for the first time in a generation, a hostile regime is learning that FAFO isn't a slogan, it's a policy. So what you're witnessing tonight is a doctrine shift. President Trump is signaling that America will no longer tolerate economic warfare waged through nationalization, theft, or regulatory plunder. When U.S. assets are seized, whether by socialist dictators or globalist bureaucracies, there will be consequences. This matters because the blockade isn't just about Venezuela. It's a warning to every regime and every institution that they thought looting America was going to be a free risk enterprise. Here at Next News, we bring you the truth, and the truth is this: strength deters, weakness invites. And for decades, weakness invited plunder. Tonight, the board has been reset. The Armada is there. The oil isn't moving, and the world's recalculating. So here's my question. Do you support Trump's naval blockade of Venezuela? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's talk about it. And don't forget to visit the Next News merch shop linked in the description to show your support.